Hello, my fellow pilots, and welcome again to another episode of Star Citizen FM, episode 50. Star Citizen FM is your fan community source for anything related to Star Citizen, the community, or anything else in the verse that might catch your fancy. Star Citizen FM is hosted by yours truly, Dr. Hawk. So join me on the first episode of the new year as we recap some of the things that happened over the holiday season and some of the things that happened right in the new year. I would first like to make a public service announcement to address the elephant in the room. To any of you that had any potential ear rapage or burst eardrums or any other like, I do apologize. As you may have noticed, my voice is now much more louder. I am adjusting to a new mic that I got for Christmas. It is called a Blue Yeti, and some of you citizens who have watched my show were actually the ones who recommended it. So hopefully this will go a long way in improving the show quality, and in the meantime I'm going to keep working with it to see how well it works, because right now, as you can hear my massive beast of a computer in the background, and I cannot seem to eliminate that hum in the background. So for fiction or lore purposes, let's just pretend that I'm sitting in my 350R or some sort of ship, and it's the silent hum of a fusion drive humming away in the background. Or at least that's kind of what I came up or have written down here, so you guys can come up with whatever you want. Moving on. The first big announcement that I'd like to make, as usual, you guys have gone above and beyond in helping CIG fill their coffers. Over the holidays, while CIG was closed, mind you, we managed to hit $36 million in crowdfunding. Very good job. Again, pat on the back to everybody who helped make this possible. I think it had something to do with all the gift cards that are now available on this store that you can purchase for your own family or friends to get them into Star Citizen. With the $36 million stretch goal unlocked, we have unlocked the Tamza system. Located near the fringe of Banu space, Tamza system features a massive central star that has collapsed into a black hole. Only 2 planets remain in the system, a Chlorinthian world and a gas giant located far from the black hole's event horizon. Our next goal is a $38 million goal for the Cano system. The Cano system is home to a G-type main sequence star that's almost identical to Earth's. Of the 4 planets in the system, only one is inhabited, Carternia. Located on the edge of the habitable zone, Carternia is a classic water world. Fortunately, its planetary axis constantly keeps the northern hemisphere away from the sun, which allowed for the water to freeze in the landmasses used as the initial landing zones in 2587. Multiple attempts have been made to try to convert the thick atmosphere into something breathable, but the process never seemed to stick. In fact, over the years, every time there's a new technological development in geoengineering, they test it out here on Carternia, only to yield the same result. Almost 50 years ago, scientists discovered microscopic organisms in the very early phases of life in the depths of the oceans. This caused a massive uproar throughout the UEE at the prospect that they had been attempting to terraform a developing world. Carternia was immediately placed under the Fair Chance Act. Unfortunately, humans have been living here for almost 300 years, and the families that had been here for generations felt they had earned rights as residents. After years of debate in the political and scientific community, the population was allowed to stay, but only under certain conditions. Future terraforming attempts had been outlawed, and the human population had been consolidated to a single arcology to minimize their impact on the environment and the development of whatever species is growing in the deep. So for those of you who wanted your very own water world, there you have it. That is the fully aquatic planet option that was voted for. You can be sure to vote for your next system that you want to see. We have only 5 options left, them being a lost human colony, an unexplored natural wonder, a Tevran ghost world, a Xi'an science outpost, and a binary star system. At the time of recording, the unexplored natural wonder is leading. The Tevran ghost world is very close behind with 23%, and so is the lost human colony at 22%. The Xi'an Science Outpost and Binary Star System are lagging behind, however, with 17% and 14% respectively. And finally, we can go over the final notes of what Chris Roberts said himself in the $36 million stretch goal. I'm happy to report that the Star Citizen development team will be back on the job as of Monday, revitalized with the ever greater determination to do everything to make this the best damn space sim ever. Your continued financial support allows us to chase this goal with confidence. Starting on Monday, I'll be sitting down with the dogfighting module team to go over all your feedback from our live demo at the end of the year and schedule the remaining functionality, content, and polish we want to achieve before we push it all out to your hard drives. After this, I'll be making my first visits to our new offices in Manchester and then Austin, where we are holding a summit with all the teams from around the world working on Star Citizen to schedule and coordinate this year's work in detail. Last and not least, we will be launching the next great starship, exposing some great talent to the community and allowing you to see the process of building ships up close for Star Citizen. Thank you all for your continued support. In honor of this accomplishment, I'd like to share the result of an aspect of Star Citizen that I think makes us special compared to the normal game development process, involving the community during development to get user feedback early to shape a better game. Here's the result of a lot of freelancer pilots' requests now that they've had some time to get a feel for their ship in the hangar. A revised design for a updated freelancer cockpit featuring the greater visibility. And get ready, you'll be seeing more of the freelancer in the new year. As some of you can see, the freelancer certainly looks a lot less blocky now. With those supports moved back, it actually looks a lot more roomy and a lot less claustrophobic than it did before. Hopefully this improvement goes a long way to those of you with a freelancer, and I look forward to seeing what they do or what they show us later on. And yes, while sadly the dogfighting module was withheld, Chris had specific reasons that mostly them narrowing down to that they didn't want to push out something that would only be really half-baked and not really amazing or what he wants Star Citizen to be. So they've decided to withhold the dogfighting module, make it out to be something a lot more awesome now that they've gained more funding and more support than previously expected, and push out a dogfighting module that will not only just serve as an alpha, but also showcase Star Citizen in all its glory. So while this is fairly old news, some of you may have missed this and have been wondering where your dogfighting module is. Rest assured, we will be seeing it somewhere in the first or second quarter of the year. In other news, some of you should be familiar that the Cloud Imperium team had been quite often working elbow to elbow in a cramped space fit only for sardines and other small things. As you can see in the video above, they now have their new work environment. Lots of ample space, lots of room for more potential bodies and artists, and more room for more people to make Star Citizen. Wait, right, I'm not the boss. Anyways, moving on. Lots of space here meant for the team. We'll probably be seeing more of this in the future as they fill it full of more artists and a little too much light there. You can check this out on Wingman's Hangar episode 51. It's in the comlink on robertspaceindustries.com. Check it out. Oh, and one other point of interest I'd like to make to those of you who keep saying that I'm trying to compete with Wingman's Hangar in episodes. Just because I'm at 50 and he's at 51 doesn't make this a race. Well, it does, but nah. Moving on. The second last thing on our agenda is the work-in-progress pictures of the Cutlass. For those of you that have your Cutlass and have been dying to know how they made it or what it looks like, you can check that out in the comlink on robertspaceindustries.com, the whip of the Cutlass. Or, alternatively, you can take a look at some of the screenshots that I did manage to capture above. That should be showing at the moment. I won't go into specific detail over it, as I do encourage you guys to check them out, so you can find that over in the comlink. The last article that I want to talk about is the Ask a Developer forums. For those of you who routinely, I know some of you, haunt some of the developers, you will be able to haunt them all the more better. We are revamping the Ask a Dev area of the RSI forums to make it easier to have your answers by the Star Citizen's developers there's a little bit of spelling there. Due to the proliferation of repeated questions and continued confusion among those not familiar with the individual members of the team, we are switching from threads for individual developers to topics that will allow you to interact with the entire team. The forum will now be divided into areas for each development discipline of each portion of Star Citizen in development. As we shift the focus to future models, more threads will be added to cover them. Team leads will be responsible for making sure their leads keep team devs up to date and that everyone working on Star Citizen continues to interact with the community. Previous threads will be archived in the forums for future reference. So, if you want to get your questions asked, yet maybe think that you'll be asking something that's been previously answered, this will be a good way to find out. Well, my fellow pilots, and this comes the end of the first episode of the new year of Star Citizen episode 50. A little short, but I wanted to go over just the main points and not have to rehash a bunch of stuff that you guys already knew about, as some of the articles there were already quite old and some of you have already been madly talking away about it on the forums. To those of you who are not aware, I made you guys a Star Citizen holiday special, just recapping what I think makes the Star Citizen, the community, the team, everyone involved actually, special. Be sure to check that out if you have not seen it yet, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Star Citizen FM episode 51. If you guys have any comments, feedback, or anything, especially related with the new mic, which I do appreciate, so if anyone knows how to use a Blue Yeti, let me know and we'll talk about that. If you guys have any comments, feedback, likes, whatever, please leave something in the video below or in the forums. Likes are appreciated, subscribe if you enjoyed the show, and be sure to talk to me. I love talking with you guys and it always encourages me to keep on pushing on. Until next time, I'll see you guys on the next episode of Star Citizen FM. You guys take care and fly safe. This is Dr. Hawk signing off.